My dreams are nightmares. How can I sleep? You got the gun against me.
What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the All Elite Wrestling Unrivaled collection, MJF. And so here we have MJF posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. MJF only comes with 2 accessories. We do get an AEW microphone, which does fit into his left hand. We also do get his entrance scarf, which is done really nicely, and it is a soft goods scarf. Other than that, MJF doesn't come with anything else, so let's actually move on to his details. And so here we have a closer look at MJF. Now, I know Jazzware has done a pretty decent job with the face sculpts on these figures, but something about this face I don't like. Maybe because it's a little bit too cartoony. I don't know what it is. Maybe the paint is off on it. There's just something about this face that I'm not a fan of, and I know a lot of people do like this head sculpt, but me, there's something I can't quite put my finger on, that I don't really like this head sculpt. Now, it might just be the way it sits on the neck. It could be a number of things, but there's a lot of things to note about this head. Yes, it does have some resemblance to MJF, but overall I think they could have done a little bit better, especially if they gave him a scowl instead of this little smirk, because I don't know, something about this head sculpt just doesn't look right. It kind of looks like he got stung by a bee and is starting to swell up. They did a really good job on his hair, though. I'll say that. The hair sculpt is really nice and the fade looks really good. So they did do a good job of painting his hair, but the face, there's something about that face that throws me off just a little bit. Now, having a look at the body, this is a really good torso to have for AEW. It's a really average torso. So it looks good with just about any figure you want to throw on it if they're somewhat in shape, but at the same time not shredded like a Greek statue. This is actually a really, really nice torso, and I have seen some people use this on Kenny Omega, which I think this is a much better Kenny Omega body than the body that they use for Kenny Omega. But it does look good, and I do like the way it came out. Now, looking at his arm, you can see they did include his lion tattoo, which does look really nice. I do like that. And then he does have his white wrist tape. Now, one thing they did do right with this figure is an issue I've had with every other figure is that when they sculpted the wrist, it kind of had like a little lip. Like there was always something, like they were wearing a shirt or something. MJF doesn't have that issue. It's just the arm going into the hand, which is a really nice thing. Now, this figure does have his very own issues. And if you look at the arm, it does appear like the arm is slightly bent. Now, yes, the arm is slightly bent, and it is that way on both figures. It's permanently at this slight bend. You cannot get it to be straight at all, because the way they sculpted his elbow, you can see how everything keys together. You cannot get this to go flush straight, so he's always going to have his arm slightly bent. It does improve articulation when he bends it, but having it straight, not going to happen, because he's always going to have this curve to it. Now, one thing I don't like about my figure, now, not every figure is going to have this. This is just on my version. You can see all these ugly mold lines, like something happened when they were injecting this mold, and it just looks terrible. It looks like he's all scarred up. There's nothing I can do about that but hope for another MJF release down the line. But yeah, I can't do anything about those mold lines, but again, not taking away from the mold itself, it's still a really decent mold. Really do like the line logos that he has right here on his trunks. They're done in a really nice bronze color, and you can see the Star of David inside the lion head, so that's a really nice little detail. And then on the back of its trunks, written in gold, we just have MJF, which does look really nice. Now, again, just like with Adam Page, there's something about the legs that I don't like. Now, it's a little more apparent on MJF that his thighs are too big for his body, and it gives him this really stocky, stumpy look. And like I said, it's more prevalent with him, but it's not as bad because he does have normal sized feet, which is really good. I do like the fact that he gets normal sized feet, where Adam Page had the wandering duck feet. And his calves do look a little bit better. It's just the thighs that are throwing it off. If they had made thinner thighs for him, this figure would look so much better, because he does have the skinny calves, but then he has these really thick thighs, and it does throw off the look just a little bit. Again, if these thighs were just slightly skinnier, this figure would look a lot better than it already does. So do that with what you will. I do like the plaid logo or plaid design right here on his knee pads, although I feel like his knee pads should be bigger. They kind of got the look of the front of the knee pad down, just not the back of the knee pad, and I know they did that for articulation purposes, but yeah, the knee pad is a little bit off, and I do like his elbow pad that he has right here. It's not the same as Hangman Page's, it's completely different mold, so really do like the fact that they did give us a new mold. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get MJF posed to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have MJF posed next to an Ultimate Edition's Brock Lesnar and a basic Jeff Hardy. And so here we have MJF posed next to an Unrivaled Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at MJF's articulation. Now, he does have the standard Unrivaled articulation, which is a ball joint here in the head, which does provide some up and down movement. It's not the best, but it is something. Now, something I will point out is that his head sits way too high on his neck. That is very giraffe-like. His head doesn't really sit that high on his head doesn't sit that high on his neck. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe it's just a mistake, but we'll find out when they release another MJF figure. But yeah, he does have a hinge which does let him look back. He can bury his head into his neck. He should have better range, but because of how high that sits on his neck, that just looks bad from a lot of angles. But we do have a ball joint here at the shoulder, which does go out to the side, goes all the way around. He does have a bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow, no problems there, and as you would expect, it is a little bit hindered right here on the left side just because of that elbow pad, as you can see. He does have a swivel hinge here at the wrist, no issues there. We do have a diaphragm joint which does work really well, does move to the side, does rotate, goes back and forward. Then we have a second ball joint here that does rotate slightly, but if you do turn it too much, you do end up popping the figure apart. So again, keep that in mind when rotating this figure. It's mainly going to be used for adjustment poses such as this, so keep that in mind. Legs go forward to about there, and you can get them to go out a little bit more, but it is pushing it, and you start cutting into the plastic. Legs do go out to the side really nicely. Swivel here at the thigh, double bend at the knee. Works really good. We do have a swivel here at the boot. We have a hinge in the foot which goes back and forward. Doesn't go too far forward, but it does go forward. And then we have forward facing pin for rock your ankle. So overall, really good articulation here on MJF, although the forward leg movement could be a little bit better. It's still pretty good. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually wrap up this review, moving on to my final thoughts with the MJF. And so here we have the AEW Unrivaled Collection MJF pose for my final thoughts. And overall, this is a pretty decent figure from Jazzware. I think they're doing a much better job with Series 2 of AEW than they did with Series 1, especially when it comes to skin tones. I think the skin tones on these figures have been more than exceptional compared to the Series 1, where they were these really pale white. It was a train wreck, to say the least. But MJF here is a really nice figure to have in your collection. I really can't say too many negative things about him, other than the head sculpt is throwing me off, and I don't know what it is about the face. The face, I think they could have gone with a more serious MJF and still done a good job, because as it stands, he's kind of cartoony, and I know that this isn't supposed to be a hyper-realistic figure, but cartoony isn't a really good way to put this line, especially when you see characters like not MJF, but John Moxley and Hangman Adam Page being a little bit more serious. I want to see this line do better with their face sculpts. I know this is just barely Series 2, but Jazzwares has been in the toy-making business for quite a while, and I know they can do really exceptional head sculpts, and this is just one of those instances where they just didn't do a really great job. It's decent for what it is, but they could have done so much better, and I think the paint is also killing it. Those lips on mine seem to be a little bit off the mark, so that's probably why it's throwing me off. If you do enjoy this figure, I have no issues with that. I'm just saying that he does have some issues, especially with his giraffe neck and those really thick thighs. Other than that, this is still a really impressive figure, and I do like it. A few more hand accessories would have been nice. A pair of grip hands, a pair of fists, and style pose hands never hurts. And I think AEW could do a little bit better with accessories when it comes to figures. But overall, still happy with this purchase. Now, the Unrivaled collection has been pretty hard to come by. I've seen it at Walmart, and I have heard that it is hitting Target. But I picked up my entire series from Ringside Collectibles, and at the time I'm making this video, Series 2 is not available on their website, so you do have to be checking in quite frequently if you want to pick up Series 2. Or get lucky like I did and just happen to stumble upon it one morning, order it, and then the rest is history. So, with that being said, guys, I'm King of Dragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other AEW videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it fits in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.